Alright boys and girls, so this is the second development log from Byte-Me games. There's a lot that's been happening here. Not all of it's apparent from looking at the game. A lot of stuff's been happening behind the scenes. I'm not just talking about the lack of our new art, because my brother can't be arsed getting up out of his bed in the mornings and actually getting himself to work. So there's a lot of stuff that's been happening, such as a major redesign of the engine itself, things to make content creation more dynamic. Also, I've implemented a new component system that makes it much easier to create entities. So I've been doing a lot of work on multi-platform as well. We always knew this wasn't going to be a single platform project, but this is the first time I've really made any sort of effort to actually make that happen. So I've decided to abstract any platform dependent code away from the actual engine itself. So in theory, the only thing that's going to change is the library that they link to. I'm going to create a static library for each platform, then all I have to do is change the linker options, and bam, it'll run on any of the platforms. So we have a lot of things to show. You'll be seeing a bit about map editor additions. There haven't been an awful lot about the map editor because I've been concentrating so much on the engine to get it working, whereas the map editor is already it's working. It's in a usable condition. There's a lot of stuff I want to add to it, but get your priorities right. Like, I mean, the engine's more important at this point in time. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy this. So I've been thinking about how we organise our projects. We use a subversion repository to store all our source code, assets, etc. And I've been thinking that the way we had it organised before was a bad way to do it. Really, we had a flat file system where if I had the engine for Windows, OS X and Linux, then each build of the engine would have its own folder, its own source code. That means that if I add, say, a component to one of builds, then I'll have to go and add it to the rest of the builds every time, and it's a bit of an overhead, and it's unreliable when I want to go over to Windows or go over to Mac or whatever. Maybe I'll forget to add one of the files, and that's just not good enough. So I've rearranged our subversion repository and rejigged the engine structure and the actual project structures, and this is what I've come up with. Okay, so this is just a very simple diagram to show you the representation of our project structure now in the repositories. You can see here that we have the OS X build, the Windows build and the Linux build. Each one of those project files is just that. It's just a project file. It doesn't contain any source code at all. So each one of those engine folders has no source code at all. It's just the project files. And then we have another folder which has all the engine code in it, just the .h's and the .cpps. So then the way I have it organized is that on Xcode or NetBeans or whatever we're using, each project has a virtual link to the engine code. So that means that anytime I add a file to the engine code folder, then I can just refresh my view in the other projects, and magically it'll all be updated. And yeah, it's a good way to cut out a bit of time with updating, and it's a bit more reliable too. So I thought we could go and check on the art, see how David's getting on, and shit, he's not here. That might seem like a bit of a shock to all you people, but honestly, David's done nothing since the last episode. David, I just want you to know that I have someone lined up who can do this a lot better than you can, and it's this guy here. Look at him go. At least he's an enthusiastic little shit. I would like to urge everyone who watches this video to post a comment down in the comments section to tell David to get off his ass or else he's getting replaced.
Okay, so I thought I would give you guys just a quick look at what the engine is at the minute, how it's looking. Pretty much you shouldn't notice any difference from the last time. Everything's been re-implemented. Everything that's happened is all under the surface and nothing has been added, really. It's all just things that are happening under the hood. This is probably lagging quite a bit, but as you can see, that collision and things are implemented. This dude here, he's straight from the XNA platformer kit. I just added him in because I needed something with some alpha blending in it, just to see whether that was working properly, and it is. So you can see here, this is the source tree for the engine. There's no actual rendering code, no OpenGL, nothing platform specific in the actual build of the engine. It's all in the library, which I can show you here real quick. So this is really all there is in the library at the minute. There's not a whole pile, not a massive amount of work's gone into it. It's basically just lifted a lot of the stuff out of the engine and dumped it into a statically linked library, linked the engine to it, and it's working on that now. So I just wanted to show you guys that this is all re-implemented. Also, you can see over here all our components and things. You can see things like our render component has lots and lots of overloaded constructors so that you can do anything that you really want to with it. All our entities will be highly customizable and easy to make. So hopefully in the next video you'll maybe see some more about creating like NPCs and stuff. But we'll see. I haven't really decided what I'm gonna do yet. So thanks.
Okay guys, so I wanted a way to make the entity system in the engine very dynamic and very easy to use. So I really wanted to make a component system, something that would abstract the details of what was actually happening, a lot of the logic and everything away from the user. And the component system that I've come up with is quite powerful. I'm sure there's a lot of things that I can do to refine it, but at the minute it's good enough for what we need. It's really based on the way I want to have the level creation system. The way I want to have it working is that in the map editor you'll be able to create NPCs and other entities, and there'll be checkboxes for different built-in components that you can use. You can script your own components, but well, you will be able to script your own components, but you'll have base components that are already built into the engine. Core things like input and rendering, collision, and these kinds of things. And so I wanted it so that it's very easy. You have this set list that you can just add very simply. And this is basically what I've come up with. This is just a short, very small demonstration of how you would go about creating this kind of thing. So you would create an entity. This is a pointer to an entity. Give it some position. The entity has lots and lots of overloaded constructors so that you can set different properties within it. This is creating a rendering component. It's called render. Render component has lots and lots of overloaded constructors as well, because you may want it to have a texture, you may want it to not have a texture, you may want it to have all sorts of different things, like whether you want it to be scaled or not scaled, or the source on the texture that you want to take out of, like if you only want to clip a certain part of the texture. But this particular constructor takes a pointer to its parent, which in this case is entity, a draw position, and a texture. It's just a very simple case. But then we take entity and register the component render with it. Every entity has a list of components. Every specific component inherits from the base class component. so they all have the same methods. I've worked it so that each component has the same base methods, so that when I polymorph these components back to a component, I can still call their specific functions. So every entity has its own component list, and in its update function, it calls the update function of every component that's attached to it. The components are actually ordered so that the rendering is always done last, after the logic of whatever they've been doing is updated. And yeah, it's quite a powerful way to do things. I'm sure there are better ways to do it at the minute. I haven't really had a lot of time. I've done a little bit of design work on it, but not an awful lot, and I just wanted to get something up and running. Most of the built-in components are finished. The only one that I have to still do is the animation component. Just haven't had time to do it yet. I've a lot of stuff going on at work and things. So yeah, I'm sure you'll see more about this, and when I actually do get scripting and things involved, how you can go in and dynamically create your own components and attach those to entities. And I think that'd be a very, very powerful thing for the engine to have.